Hi there. I'm now live again. It's Monday Live, and I'm Emma Rowena. I'm a musician, a performer, but I'm also an intuitive reader and a healer, and I'm enjoying doing that work a lot, more and more, because I see what I can do to help other people break through whatever they're stuck in, and as that goes as well, of course, breaking through my own stuff. And that's, to me, a very, very meaningful path to choose, is to find a way of moving forward, of learning, of uplifting yourself, of making this life better and better as much as you can. And we can, because the world is so full of difficult things and old stories and pain and war and fear, and we've had the pandemic, and in some places I know there's still a lot of people are affected by restrictions due to the pandemic still, and I think if we can just do our bit to try and uplift ourselves and make this a little better, easier, this life of ours, we will affect each other in a beautiful way, and we will start to heal ourselves, the people around us. We will contribute to their healing, and when that happens, it's like the concentric circles. It expands, and eventually we can touch more people than you can ever imagine. And this is also proven, but it's proven that what you send out affects other people and other things and the energies around us, but it doesn't really matter whether you believe it or not in here, but you can feel it. And I've spoken of this before. When you meet somebody who's in a good place and who smiles and gives you a compliment, you will be uplifted. You'll feel better, and you'll probably meet the next person from a better place. And even so, that's how we spread it all around. Spread the joy, spread the happiness, the smiles. Yes. Today, this week, intuition. What is intuition? I was going to start by talking about, how we can explore it in ourselves, that we all have it, that we can all make use of it and learn to trust it. And we all have experiences probably where we've been in touch with our intuition without even realizing it. But I was actually going to, I saw a beautiful, beautiful film yesterday made by the Italian director Tommaso Mottola, and then his wife was portrayed in it, Gøril Mauset. She's a Norwegian actress, and it was the journey for her to explore how to she was on the way to performing Anna Karenina, the Russian masterpiece, in Russia, and she had decided to do it in Russian, and she didn't speak Russian. So it was a film about the whole journey through Russia in exploring both Anna Karenina's story, Tolstoy's story behind the character, and then of course her own journey towards moving towards that stage and performing in Russia. The thing that I wanted to speak of, that film really moved me. It's a beautiful film. If you ever get a chance, I don't know where it's available right now, but if you ever get the chance, I would recommend it. It's called Karenina and I. It's a multilingual film project. It's an international project, so you might stumble upon it. But in any case, what happens there is that they show a beautiful, poetic craftsmanship, and also two artists' passion for the art, for expression, for exploring the human universe of expression. And I've thought about sometimes, people sometimes find it, when I say I'm a musician and when we meet artists, often meet people going, wow, fantastic, how I'd always like to be an artist or a musician. I would want to, but I can't. I don't know how to. I'm not an artistic person. I can't sing worth anything. And I think what we long for, because being an artist is not necessarily a very romantic dream. It can be hard, and a lot of artists don't really have a lot of money, and a lot of the art that comes out comes from pain. Now that's another issue. Do we have to be in pain in order to express ourselves artistically? But of course what that film also showed was that that pain and that emotion is part of the journey. But then there's also the excitement of doing it, of creating, of performing, of being in that expression. And then what does this have to do with intuition? Well, I think a lot of artists, most artists, there are some more intellectual approaches in the modern times, but most artists have a connection to an intuition, as well as to their emotions. Now, I'm not saying that emotions and intuitions are not connected. On the contrary, I often find that my emotions are the language, or they're telling me that my intuition is in tune. My intuition is trying to tell me something through my emotions. So the emotions can be very valuable in connection with the intuition. And I think that all these artists that live, they go into the emotions, they live it, they express them. And sometimes we want to give up. It's too hard. We don't know where to go. We don't know who we are. We can't find that expression. We're all looking for that one tone, that as this artist Nils Petter Molvær, he talked about this, finding that one tone, that perfect tone, or you want that perfect picture, or that, I think it was it Laurence Olivier, I think, the actor, the English actor who had performed a Shakespeare piece, and it was brilliant, and somebody behind the scene had said to him, "That was fantastic, that's the best you've ever done." He said, "I know, and I don't know why." So he was furious because he tapped into something that he didn't know exactly what was, and it came through. And I think friends of mine, they're sculptors, they work together on a sculpture up in the north of Norway, portraying a woman standing against the wind by the pier. This is Line Jerner and Odin Øystad, fantastic artists. And they told me how they were working on this sculpture together. They'd prepared it and everything. They were working, bringing this figure out of the stone. And then at one point they suddenly said, "Okay, this is it. If we touch it now, we ruin it." So something in their intuition, in their perspective, and this is not in the mind, something in them told them that this was perfect. This was the shape that stone, that figure had to have. So also when I perform my music, sometimes I'm in tune with the flow. And I can feel it as I speak about it, because it moves you. And I think that's what moves people through art and music, is when you find that flow, when the composer has found that perfect composition, known exactly what it should be, and stopped at that point. When a performer, a painter, has drawn that perfect line and doesn't touch it, because trying to make it better because it's perfect. But if you can't do that, we keep striving, we keep searching for it until at one point we found it. So intuition for an artist is very, very connected to emotions. And this was a different angle that I was going to do, as I said earlier. But it was very, very moving and powerful and interesting to see that film and to connect to that kind of expression, intuitive expression, yesterday. And I think one of the things that we have this romantic idea of artists and being an artist and creative, creativity. We're all creative all the time. Every time you speak to somebody, you're creative. You create the dialogue in the moment. And in that, you also use your intuition. But to a lot of people, all this artist and the creativity is something very hard to grasp. You don't know what it is. And I think for a lot of people, intuition is the same. It's hard to grasp. We don't know where it is. We don't know what it is. And it's not something to grasp. And that's the point. It's something to be in. I find, this is my experience, of course. You can have any, please share your thoughts. I'd love to hear some different thoughts and perspectives, or if you agree. But I find that intuition is that knowing, that one place in ourselves where we just know. And we try to find it, and we try to talk ourselves into believing that we know. But that's not the same thing. I've done this so many times, thinking that I know which way to go. I know, what an example, there are all kinds of examples. I know which person to collaborate with, for example, in a project. And it turns out that wasn't really right. But when I really know, then I know. I know it here. I know it in my gut. And one example, many years ago, I was working with these two opera singers. Fantastic experience. We worked together for 14 years. Opera i Tiden, we call that opera in the time. And performed all over the place. But we were tired of doing all the bookings ourselves, so we were looking for a manager. And we had this event company that we'd worked with a lot, and they suggested somebody. And so we sat down afterwards to discuss it, because I for some reason I said, we have to discuss this. So we went to a cafe and we talked about it, and we started arguing, and I just could not accept this person. I could not accept that this person was going to handle our affairs. I don't know why. I have no clue. I had no clue at the time. Now, of course, my friends are also those singers. Nothing against them. They have their intuition in their own times. But at that moment, they were sort of arguing because we're so tired of doing everything ourselves, and I could not accept it. And I just put my foot down, and I hadn't done that so many times at that point. And it turned out that this person was put into jail because he'd been because of fraud, I think. So this was my gut feeling. It's the first very, very clear experience. And this is like, I think it's 15 years ago. Very, very clear experience of when my intuition, through my body and my emotions, said, no, don't go that way. And there are also, that was a very powerful experience. But of course, intuition can often be very subtle. And learning to discern, learning to decipher, or not even decipher, because that's putting in the mind. The moment you try to understand or know or think your way to intuition, you've stopped it. It blocks here. The moment you bring it up to the head, you block it. It comes from here in your gut. It comes from, maybe sometimes I feel it's as if I get the insight, an idea. That can be intuitively inspired. When you suddenly get an bang idea, that's often to me, an intuitive thought. It comes out of nowhere. But of course, it's probably been worked in your mind, and then suddenly the solution comes. It doesn't mean that you're not processing things and then a solution comes. But it means that you're letting the intuition through, and suddenly you know. And you cannot not let it through because it's part of you. But we can diminish, we can put a lid on it, we can block it with our thoughts, with our fears. Fear is a big block to intuition. Let's do a simple, easy example from the umbrella. How many times have you left the house, thought, oh, I should bring an umbrella. Oh, there's no weather forecast, I won't. And then the rain comes. And then, of course, how many times have you brought the umbrella thinking, oh, it might rain, and then it didn't? Just notice, where does that thought come from? Does it come from fear that you're going to be wet? Or does it come from an intuitive, impulsive action? Intuition is often, it takes effect within 1-2 seconds. So the moment you have an extra thought, then you break the intuitions. Like when you left the umbrella thinking that the weather forecast has said it was going to be sunny, then you've broken the intuition. I've done this so many times, and I'm starting to act. I have started. I act on it a lot more now than I used to. So, whenever it says, I check the weather forecasts. I live in Norway, and the weather is very, very crazy all over the place these days, of course, because of the environment, the global warming. But in general, also in Norway, can be very unpredictable, especially in the autumn and sometimes in the summer. And so you never know when the rain showers are going to come, and they've become a lot more powerful now. So, but I still check the weather forecast, and when I do that, and trust that, I often stumble. I often get wet. The rain comes. When I walk out the door and I grab the umbrella without thinking about it, I'm often right. Now, so it takes practice to recognize this. It takes practice to feel the difference between knowing and thinking that you know, or between acting because you simply know or just don't even think about it, or acting of fear, of taking precautions, taking precautions is fine, but just notice that this isn't always an intuitive act. It's very often from the mind. Another thing, there are a couple of things that I thought of bringing up, is getting in touch with your intuitive choices that are the best for you in the place that you are in now. It doesn't mean that it always goes the way you think or want it to go. It means that there might be a lesson on the way, and so you're taking through to that lesson. For instance, why do you have relationships that break up? Maybe there's a lesson there. Maybe there's something that you had to go through in order to open up and step up to the next level and experience a different kind of a relationship. I had a relationship that when I met the father of my son, I had this flash. The first time I really spoke to him, I had this big, I know this person, something's going to happen here. And I didn't really pursue it. Well, I did, but he pursued also me in a way. So, and what happened, I had this beautiful, beautiful son from it. We're not together now, we're friends, but there was something I had to go through, and I learned a lot from that relationship and from that break up that I now carry forward into my own life. And I know now that there was a reason I had to go through that. At the breakup time, it was devastating for me. But I broke through all those fears and all that pain and managed to come to a place where I can enjoy my life because I'm me, and I can enjoy everything that I can embrace in my life, including sharing my thoughts with you guys. The idea of doing this live was actually given to me 1.5 years ago, and I tried it, and that wasn't doing it live. They said to put videos on every other day, and I wasn't ready, and I tried it and it didn't really work. And of course that's probably been churning in my mind, but I left it. I hated social media, I thought. I didn't think about all the beautiful connections you can have then. It was just noise to me. And then suddenly, when I was in a situation this summer, I thought, I'm going to do a 10-day challenge live. And here we are, and I'm enjoying it. But I needed to go through a few lessons before I could do it from an intuitive place where I can use my experience, but also my intuition as I talk to you. And the topics, they come from some ideas that come to me. And I have a sort of overarching perspective as well. I have a connection, I think, to the divine. We all do, but I tune in, I listen, I take guidance. This is part of my journey, my experience. Your intuition is your own inner guidance. It can be, in my experience, also guided from a higher perspective, but whether you believe that or not, it doesn't matter, because you have intuition, because you have an essence, you have an inner world, a soul, a subconscious that guides you. And if you start listening to the different flavors of things, look at two choices. If you have to make a choice, which one feels more vibrant, lighter? Which one feels heavier? You want to go for the lighter one, because that's your guidance, that's your intuition telling you, not necessarily the easy way, but the one that gives more color to you according to where you want to be in your life. This is a whole big coaching thing, a whole big energy work thing that I do in my guidances and my readings. But I invite you to explore it. Now, you want to be a little bit wary whether you choose because it's the easy way out. Sometimes, yes, you want to feel good about things. But is it the easy way out because you're afraid of going where you really want to be? So we put all kinds of belief systems into play sometimes, which is the last week's topic. To me, intuition is the opposite of belief systems. It is your inner navigation that comes from a place of being you, of your authenticity, your true self. So on Wednesday, I'll talk a little bit about how you can do these exercises a little more. Right now, let's just gather ourselves again with the 3 breaths and our connecting to the heart so that you can come closer to yourself. And that's also part of your journey, if you choose to take it, towards exploring your intuition, your inner voice, your gut feelings, your knowing what's right for you, but also knowing what's going on. Maybe you know somebody's going to call you today. Maybe you know that there will be world peace. I believe so. Whether it's a knowing or whether it's a wishful thinking, I haven't quite decided yet. But I believe it's possible because we can do this work. But that was just an extreme example. You can know things about events happening in the world as well. That's also because we tune into each other. We tune into the bigger picture sometimes. That's also intuition. And it's the one that a lot of people want to find. To me, I think it starts by exploring the little nuances, and then you can maybe find your psychic voice if that's what you're looking for. Okay. So we scatter our energies, we scatter our thoughts all over the place. Even as I speak now, I scatter it all over the place. I send it off to you guys. I send it to what was I supposed to talk about? Did that make sense? To the future, to the past, other people, other events. Now, what we do now with our 3 breaths, we bring it all together into ourselves and center ourselves. So take a moment, and you can do this with your eyes open if you can't close them. Take a deep breath, and as you do, imagine that you're pulling all your energy back into yourself. And as you breathe out, feel how you can anchor this energy of yours, this essence of yours, down into your hips. And another deep breath. Pull in everything you left in the past or the future into this moment. And I've got a rumbly tummy. Rumbly tummy. And as you breathe out, center it down into your belly, into your tummy, your hip area, anchoring yourself. Last breath, breathe yourself in, gather yourself together, pull yourself together from wherever you are into space. And as you breathe out, pull that anchoring down into your hips, and imagine that you can send that anchoring all the way down through your legs, all the way to the ground, and grow those roots down so you stand firmly in your own foundation, on your own ground. And then bring your attention to your heart center. You can put your hands there if you like. And feel how you feel today. Where are you? What does it feel like? What does it feel like to be you? What's your essence? What's your color, your timbre? Who are you in there, in this center, without all the noise? Just this core of yours, this seed of yours, this light, this anchoring in your heart. What does it feel like? And imagine that you can expand this, let it permeate your whole body, let it erase, let it eradicate all those belief systems, patterns that you don't need, so that you can shine just being you. Let it permeate your whole body, up through the head, out through the arms, down through the body, down through your legs, and expand beyond you so that you can stand in your own space, in your own essence, your own feeling of being you, and so you can appear authentic as yourself when you step out into the world. And know that you're supported, you're supporting yourself, and you're supported by this beautiful energy surrounding you. And you can always come back here when you feel pulled out of yourself. You can take those 3 breaths, pull yourself in, anchor yourself into your hips, bring your attention to your heart and recognize, here I am. That's who I am. Beautiful. And from this place, we will explore your intuition a little bit more on Wednesday, and then even deeper on Friday in the meditation. Okay. Have a beautiful day, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.